Were you taught that you needed to complete college to get a good education, get a job so you could be more successful and happy? As we're finding out, that is a lie because wealthy people don't do that. I know that because I've spent a lot of time with wealthy people, and on this video, I'm going to expose the 3 biggest lies about money most people are taught or believe and that are keeping you poor, and what the wealthy do instead. My name is Peter Sage, and I spent the last 30 years as a serial entrepreneur studying human behavior and success. I'm going to give you 3 of the biggest lies. The first one is being told that school will give you an education. As one of my billionaire mentors used to tell me, while I was at school, he was out learning. Don't confuse school with education because the 2 are very separate. Why do I say that? Because you've got to understand the reasons why school does what it does. If you go back 200 years ago, 2% maximum of the world was literate. That was reserved for the political elite or the scholars or the village elders or the people that were essentially on a path to higher levels of knowledge, and that was their profession. There was no need to teach the rest of humanity how to read or write. And then something came along that changed the entire game. The Industrial Revolution. All of a sudden, what had to happen, we needed to take people that were normally pulling crops out of fields or working rice paddies and actually teach them how to operate something complicated called machinery en masse. And so education really had its genesis in teaching people how to show up on time, how to sit in rows, take instruction, follow the party line, shall we say. And the challenge is it was also designed to breed out creativity. Why? You don't want somebody sitting in front of some machinery thinking, wonder what happens if I pull this lever. No, that's bad. The school version of education is, how do I become a conformist? How do I not question authority? How do I show up on time? And how do I do as I'm told? Which back then was a useful part of the progression of civilization. Just as back then a horse and cart was a game changer for transport. But you wouldn't take a horse and cart to the supermarket today. No, you jump in a better vehicle. And today, a better vehicle is informal education, not traditional education. Informal education, as Jim Rohn said, will help make you a fortune, whereas traditional education, unfortunately, helps or may help you make a living. And too many people are finding that out too late. So many surveys will show you right now that the vast majority of people who get a traditional education leave tens of thousands of dollars in debt just so they've got a certificate or a piece of paper signed by somebody they never met to validate their memory on remembering answers to questions that really aren't relevant to the career that they then choose to go in life to participate in. Again, that's not me saying it, that's the data saying that. Don't confuse traditional schooling with an education that's going to help you become wealthy. The second lie about money that'll keep you poor is this: if I work hard enough, then I'll get there. And that is right now probably the cause of most frustration, most antidepressants, most early heart attacks, because there's only so many hours in a day. And if you think you've got to work hard instead of working smart, you're going to retire most likely early, broken, and broke. And there's no reason for that. Wealthy people do work hard, but they don't work hard in the traditional sense. They work very smart, and they apply that smarts in different ways because they understand where to focus their time. And where they focus their time is on investing in who they become rather than what they do. Why? Because the number 1 rule of personal growth is that you will never rise above the opinion of yourself. And there's so many people that are just trying to work harder, get a second job, a third job to make ends meet. And the challenge is they are confusing their self-worth with their net worth. And we were never taught this in school. In fact, we have 2 bank accounts. We have an emotional bank account and a financial bank account. And so many people's financial bank account leads their emotional bank account. Meaning, if their financial bank account is low, they feel like crap. If they get some money, get paid on Friday, whatever it may be, all of a sudden, the bank account goes up, their levels of stress drop, and their happiness goes up. In other words, their emotional bank account follows their financial bank account. Wealthy people know that's the wrong way around. When you know you'll never rise above the opinion of yourself, your job is to raise your emotional bank account first, because that is what will lead your financial bank account. If you can be emotionally mature enough to not be led through the nose by your sense data, i.e., hey, there's nothing in the bank right now, therefore I feel crap, instead of doing what wealthy people say, oh, all that is a reflection of some of the choices I've made in the past. It's not a reflection of who I am or what I'm capable of. We see this in the physical world. If you look at somebody who's overweight, it's not because of the choices they made that day. It's a consequence of the choices they made over time previously that has accumulated in being obese. There's also a difference between a person and a person's behavior. It doesn't mean to say that they're a bad person, they've just engaged in poor habits. So instead, if you decide to make the future a future where you're going to be slim, fit, and healthy, you start making new habits now. But if you're looking in the mirror and constantly being depressed about what you look like now, and therefore you overeat for comfort or to escape the emotional pain, you're never going to get forward. Translate that into financial terms, and if you're looking at your bank account and it's anorexic right now, and that makes you depressed, which means that it's going to put you off food, then you're never going to get wealthy. Instead, you focus on where you want to go. Start focusing on understanding that your self-worth is not your net worth. And that frees you up to go to tackle the next lie, which is to understand what money actually is. And this is a game changer because so many people conceptualize money. They make it a thing, and therefore they try to chase after or get more of the thing. Wealthy people understand something different. See, the only place in the universe money means anything is in the mind of a human. Nothing else cares about it. Otherwise, it's pieces of paper with dead people on it, which is very useful outside of an economy. If you're cold, you can set fire to it and it'll get warmth. That's how, if you didn't understand money and you had $1 million in cash, that's what you'd do with it if you were cold, because it has no other value. See, money is conceptual. It's shiny metal, it's hard rocks. You get the idea. What we've done is we have made money into a thing, and that's where poor people fall down. Because they then try to chase the thing instead of realizing money is a consequence. It is a byproduct of something else. And that something else is about adding value. For example, if you were sitting in front of a cold fire at night, you wouldn't turn around and say, hey fire, let me do you a deal. Let me get some heat from you and then I'll go chop you some wood. Well, we know that doesn't work. Nor would you go into the gym to your personal trainer and say, hey, look, these weights look a little heavy. Why don't you give me the strength first and then I'll go lift them? Because it doesn't work. But that's how people operate when it comes to money. I want to go get the money first rather than focus on what the cause of the money is. See, you chop the wood, you get the heat. You lift the weights, you get the strength. You add the value, you get the money. Because the only other time you've been given money, outside of handouts or inheritance or other ways you don't want to rely on, then it's because you added value for it first, either 40 hours a week or more in a job or a product or a service to the market. So when you know that money isn't money, money is the after effect of you adding value to something, and therefore it's a medium of exchange used to measure that value, you can start looking at it through a different light. But if you're chasing money, you're going to chase your tail until you realize what it is. There are 3 quick tips on understanding why we've been conditioned into believing false paradigms that keep us poor. If you'd like to master more aspects of becoming wealthy and being able to understand and work with money in a way where you can attract and generate lots more of it by shifting your beliefs and your relationship to it and give you the insights that most people will go to their grave never knowing, click the link below. I'd be delighted to be able to share some more of my insights and resources with you so you can live the life that you deserve.